My sister slept with my husband and got pregnant, but my parents invited her to Thanksgiving and said I'm too old to have kids anyway, so I did this at their dinner and she went silent. Throwaway for obvious reasons, though I doubt my family uses Reddit anyway. Sorry for the super long post, but I'm completely losing my mind right now and just need to get this all out. So, my life is basically imploding. I don't even know where to start. I guess with the basics. I've been married to Brett for 5 years. We've been trying to have a baby for the last 3 years with no luck. Like, we've literally tried everything. 3 rounds of IVF. That drained our savings, by the way. Those treatments are insanely expensive. Countless doctor appointments, special diets, acupuncture, you name it. Nothing worked. And the whole time Brett just seemed to get more and more distant. Not like overnight or anything, but looking back, I can see how he just kind of checked out of the process. I was the one researching everything and making all the appointments, and he was just there. Sometimes. I work as a marketing executive for a healthcare company, which means I travel a lot for work. Like a lot. It's a good job and pays well, but the hours are crazy and the travel can be brutal. Brett works in finance and has a pretty standard 9-to-5 situation. Anyway, about 6 months ago, my younger sister Kara had this huge breakup with her boyfriend of 2 years. They were living together and she couldn't afford the rent on her own with her yoga instructor salary. She works part-time at this fancy studio downtown. Of course, she's a yoga instructor. So despite us not being super close, more on that in a second, I offered to let her stay in our guest room until she figured things out. I mean, she's my sister. What was I supposed to do? Some background, Kara has always been the golden child in our family. Always. She's younger, prettier, more outgoing, and my parents basically think she can do no wrong. When we were kids, she could literally break something, and somehow I'd end up getting blamed for it. My parents never missed a single one of her dance recitals, but somehow always had scheduling conflicts for my debate competitions or academic awards. I've spent a small fortune on therapy working through all this family problems, by the way. So anyway, Kara moves in with us, and at first, everything seems fine. She's actually helping around the house, seems grateful, etc. Then about 2 months ago, I had to go on this massive work trip. 3 weeks on the East Coast for this huge product launch. When I got home, things felt off. Brett and Kara were acting weird around each other. Like, awkward weird. But I just figured they were getting on each other's nerves from being stuck in the house together, or whatever. I never once thought they would. God, I still can't believe this happened. So last week, I'm making dinner and needed to look up a recipe. My phone was dead, so I grabbed Brett's iPad that was sitting on the counter. And there they were. All these messages between him and my sister. Graphic, detailed messages about what they'd been doing together while I was gone. In our house, in our bed. I literally almost threw up right there in the kitchen. I took the iPad straight to Brett, who was watching TV, and just held it up showing the messages. The look on his face, I'll never forget it. Pure panic. It's not what it looks like. He actually said that. Can you believe it? The most cliché line ever. I called Kara into the room. She came in looking nervous as hell, which told me she knew exactly what was happening. Brett tried to explain, saying it just happened and wasn't serious. Wasn't serious. Are you kidding me? Then Kara just breaks down sobbing and tells me she's pregnant. I swear to God, time just stopped. Brett looked shocked. Apparently, this was news to him too. I asked how far along she was, my voice sounding weird and calm even to myself. She whispered that she was 10 weeks pregnant. Brett started stammering that they had only slept together a few times, as if that made it any better. I don't even remember exactly what happened next. It's all a blur. I know I started throwing Brett's clothes into a suitcase. I remember screaming. I remember Kara begging me to forgive her and claiming she never meant for it to happen. Yeah, right. I told Brett to get out. I told Kara she had 24 hours to get her shit and get out of my house. Brett's staying with some coworker now. I filed for divorce the next day. I couldn't stand being in that house anymore. Every room just reminded me of their betrayal. I'm staying with my old college roommate right now until I figure out what to do next. And then, my mother calls me yesterday. My mother, who has always taken Kara's side on everything. She starts going on about family needing to come together during holidays and how I need to come to Thanksgiving dinner this year. I asked if Kara would be there. She said of course, and Brett would be there too, for the baby's sake. When I told her there was no way in hell I was going to sit across a table from the two people who completely destroyed my life, She actually told me that I'm almost 40 and too old to have kids anyway, and at least this way they'll have a grandchild in the family. I hung up on her. I sat on my friend's couch and cried for like 3 hours straight. But you know what? I think I will go to Thanksgiving dinner because I have something important to tell all of them, and I want to see their faces when I do. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up like this. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, I've already contacted a lawyer and we're proceeding with the divorce. Brett keeps texting me about working things out, but I've blocked him on everything except email, which I need for divorce stuff. 2. Several people asked if there were signs before this. Looking back, maybe. Brett was on his phone a lot more and would get jumpy if I came near him while he was texting. And there was one night I came home early from a dinner with colleagues and they both looked really flustered, but I seriously just thought they were arguing or something. 3. For those asking about the house, it's in both our names, so that's going to be a whole thing to figure out. I'm honestly considering just letting him buy me out because I can't imagine living there again. 4. And yes, I realize my parents are awful. This isn't even the worst thing my mom has said to me over the years, sadly. I've been in therapy for a while, working through all that. I thought I had better boundaries with them, but I guess not. 5. No, I don't think Brett is abusive or narcissistic like some of you suggested. He's just a selfish, cheating asshole who couldn't keep it in his pants. And my sister is just as bad. Edit 2. Thanks for all the suggestions about what to do at Thanksgiving. I'm not going to trash the place or make a scene in front of the extended family. What I'm planning is more impactful than that. And yes, I'm being vague on purpose, sorry. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post, and honestly, I'm still kind of processing everything. Thanks to everyone who commented. I read like every single comment, even though I couldn't respond to all of them. You guys really helped me realize I'm not crazy for feeling the way I do. After that phone call with my mom, the one where she basically told me I was too old to have kids anyway, so I should just get over Brett and Kara's betrayal, I was honestly just sitting in my friend's apartment, sobbing for like hours. And the thing is, and I didn't mention this in my last post because I wasn't ready to talk about it, that comment about being too old hit me so hard because what nobody in my family knows is that I've actually been seeing a fertility specialist for the past few months. I've been looking into having a baby on my own through a sperm donor. I mean, I'd been feeling like Brett wasn't really invested in our fertility journey anyway, which, now I know why. So I started exploring options on my own. The doctor told me that yeah, my fertility is declining. Thanks for the reminder, Mom, but I still have viable eggs and a pretty decent chance with assistance. So when my mom said that to me, God, I can't even describe how much it hurt. Anyway, after I calmed down a bit, I started thinking more clearly about this whole Thanksgiving thing. And I realized maybe this dinner wasn't just something to survive. Maybe it was an opportunity. I called my therapist, thank God for telehealth appointments, and we talked for a long time. I realized I've always been the one my family ignores while Kara gets everything, and I was just done with that. Done with being the one everyone walks all over. I also reached out to my Aunt Isabel, my dad's sister, who I haven't talked to much in recent years. She was always treated like the less favored sibling too, so she gets it. We had this amazing 3-hour phone call where she just validated everything I've been feeling my whole life. Like everything suddenly made sense. She told me some family stories I never knew about how my mom basically pushed her out of family events when I was little because she was too opinionated. So the 3 weeks before Thanksgiving were intense. I had several doctor appointments. Not going to get into details about what for exactly, but they were important. And I spent a lot of time gathering some information and documents that I thought might come in handy. I made some big decisions about my future too. I felt weirdly okay, even though everything was a mess. For once, I wasn't just dealing with whatever new problem Kara created. So Thanksgiving Day comes. I decided to be 30 minutes late on purpose. Petty, I know, but I wanted to make an entrance, I put on this dark green dress that I know looks amazing on me and did my makeup really nice. Like I wasn't going to show up looking like the sad, betrayed wife, you know? When I walked in, the look on my dad's face was awkward, is the only word for it. He gave me this stiff hug and took my coat, barely making eye contact. My mom immediately looked me up and down and was like, "Have you lost weight? Are you eating properly?" In that tone that sounds concerned but is actually just criticism. Classic Linda. And there was Kara, sitting on the couch with her hand resting on her stomach. She's showing now, definitely 4 months along. When she saw me, she tried to smile, but it looked more like she was in pain. Good, I just nodded at her. Didn't say a word, didn't approach her. Like 5 minutes after I got there, Brett showed up looking all nervous and disheveled. He immediately tried to corner me by the hallway going, "Natalie, we really need to talk, please." I just looked him straight in the eye and said, "Today is not about you. We have nothing to discuss." I don't even recognize my own voice sometimes these days. It's like calmer, stronger. I don't know. Brett kind of shrank back, which felt amazing, by the way, and went to stand near Kara, but not really next to her. There was this weird distance between them. They weren't acting like a couple at all. Dinner prep was excruciating. My mom kept bringing up the baby every 2 seconds. She kept asking Kara about morning sickness and prenatal vitamins, and going on about how Kara was just glowing with maternal radiance. And then she'd look at me and say stuff like, "Some women are just naturally maternal, don't you think?" I wanted to throw the mashed potatoes at her head. My dad tried to talk to me about work, but somehow turned it into a comparison with Brett's career. He went on about how finance is such a stable field and implied all my work travel must be exhausting, as if I haven't been supporting myself for years while they paid for Kara's 3rd attempt at college. The weirdest part was watching Brett and Kara. They barely spoke to each other, at all. At one point, my mom asked about nursery plans, and they both just froze and looked at each other like they had no idea what to say. It was so obvious they hadn't discussed anything about the actual baby. And then, I overheard something. I went to the kitchen to help my mom, more like escape for a minute, and Brett and Kara were in there having this intense whispered argument. I only caught bits of it, but Brett said something like, "We need to be sure." And Kara hissed back, "I don't need to take a test, I know." When we finally sat down to eat, my mom had arranged the seats, so Brett and Kara were sitting together on one side like they were a couple, while I was at the complete opposite end. Subtle, Mom. Really subtle. Throughout the whole meal, my mother kept making these little comments about silver linings and how sometimes things work out for the best, while giving me these fake sympathetic looks. I just kept eating and nodding and saying absolutely nothing. Then, as everyone was finishing the main course, my dad stood up and raised his glass. He started making this whole speech about new beginnings and the blessing of new life coming into the family, while staring directly at Kara's stomach. And that's when I did it. As everyone clinked glasses, I reached into my purse and pulled out a manila envelope. "Actually," I said, "I have an announcement to make too." The look on their faces. I'll update after the holiday weekend with what happened next. It's been a lot to process. Edit. So many people are asking if Brett is actually the father. Based on what I overheard in the kitchen, I'm starting to wonder the same thing. I genuinely don't know, but I definitely caught something weird between them. Edit 2. Thanks for all the kind words about me pursuing single motherhood. No, I haven't told my family about the fertility clinic visits. My mom would probably just tell me I'm being selfish or desperate or something equally horrible. Edit 3. To everyone asking about my job, yes, I'm still working at the same company. My boss has actually been amazing through all this. I told her the basics of what happened, not all the sister drama, just the divorce part, and she's been super flexible with me taking time for appointments. And no, I'm not planning to quit just because I might become a mom. Some of us can handle both, Linda. Edit 4. Several people asked about the house situation. We're still figuring it out with the lawyers, but I'm leaning towards selling it and splitting the proceeds. I can't imagine living there anymore after what they did. Just too many memories, you know. Now for the second update. Sorry for taking so long to update. I honestly needed time to process everything that happened and deal with all the fallout. Seriously, the last few weeks have been intense. Like, the kind of intense where you forget to eat and then suddenly realize it's 9 p.m. and all you've had is coffee all day. I'm doing better with that now, promise. So where did I leave off? Right, Thanksgiving dinner from hell. My dad had just finished his toast about new beginnings and the blessing of new life coming into the family, while staring directly at my sister's stomach. Anyway, so my dad finishes his toast. Everyone's clinking glasses and smiling, except me, obviously, and I reached into my purse and pulled out this manila envelope I'd brought with me. Actually, I said, I have an announcement to make too. Everyone stopped breathing for a second. My mom got this pinched look on her face like she was preparing to be embarrassed by whatever I was about to say. I stood up, trying to stay super calm even though my heart was racing like crazy. I thanked everyone for including me in this family celebration, which came out sounding way more sarcastic than I meant it to, but honestly, appropriate. Then, I started taking things out of the envelope and placing them on the table one by one. First, I put down a sonogram picture right in front of my parents. My mom's eyes got huge. I told them I was 9 weeks pregnant via sperm donor. My mother actually said I was too old. I showed my medical records from the fertility treatment. I told her I'd been working with a specialist for months and wasn't too old after all. Brett asked if I'd been seeing someone else during our marriage. The audacity. I ignored him completely, which felt amazing by the way, and showed Brett's medical records from when we were trying to conceive. I explained that he had extremely low sperm count from his analysis 18 months ago, making it nearly impossible for him to father a child naturally. Brett turned white and started saying something about medical privacy. Everyone at the table slowly turned to look at Kara, who was sitting there with her hands still on her stomach, but looking like she might throw up. Then I placed a home paternity test kit on the table and suggested we clear things up. Kara stared at the box for like 2 seconds, then suddenly stood up so fast she knocked over her water glass. Without saying anything, she rushed out of the dining room and ran upstairs. The chaos that followed was a lot. Brett started yelling about how I was humiliating him, and this wasn't the time or place. My dad just sat there with his mouth open, looking back and forth between the sonogram and the paternity test. My mom followed Kara upstairs while yelling back at me that I was being cruel and jealous and ruining a special family moment. I just sat back down, cut myself a piece of pumpkin pie, ate it calmly while Brett continued having his meltdown, and then got up to leave. Before I walked out, I told my dad I was available to talk when he was ready to apologize for enabling Kara's behavior all these years. His face, I've never seen him look so confused and lost. I drove straight to Aunt Isabel's house, my dad's sister who also got the less favorite treatment. We had dessert and toasted to my pregnancy and new beginning. It felt so good to be with someone who was actually happy for me. The fallout over the next few weeks has been wild. Brett moved out of state after our divorce was finalized. Apparently he got a job offer in Colorado that he couldn't pass up, more like couldn't face the humiliation here. And Kara, well, she eventually admitted the baby is likely her ex-boyfriend's and she had known all along. She just wanted Brett's financial support. The paternity test confirmed what we all knew by that point. Brett is definitely not the father. Kara sent me this super long email that was basically 5 paragraphs of her feeling sorry for herself. She actually claimed she felt overshadowed by M.E. her whole life. M.E. the sister who got ignored at every turn while she got everything handed to her. I can't even with her anymore. My parents have been making awkward attempts at reconciliation now that they've realized they might lose access to their only biological grandchild, mine. My mom sent flowers to my apartment with a card that said, "We should talk." Not "I'm sorry" or "I was wrong" or anything actually meaningful, just "we should talk." I haven't responded yet. I've set up some pretty strict boundaries. I told them I'd consider limited contact only if they agree to family therapy with me. My mom tried to argue that we don't need a stranger telling us how to be a family, but my dad surprisingly agreed to it. We have our first appointment next month, we'll see. As for Kara, I'm keeping her at a distance indefinitely. Maybe someday we can rebuild something, but honestly, I don't even know if I want to. Some betrayals are just too big, you know. On a brighter note, I've been reconnecting with an old friend, Thomas, male, 42, who's been incredibly supportive through all this mess. He's been bringing me ginger tea for the morning sickness and has come over a few times just to watch bad movies when I needed company. I'm not jumping into anything romantic right now. My focus is 100% on my pregnancy and healing, but it's nice to have someone in my corner for once. My company has been super understanding about my need for a more flexible schedule. My boss, who is a mom herself, has been amazing, though sometimes I wonder if this pregnancy will affect my chances for that director position that's opening up next year. But that's a worry for another day. I never imagined I'd become a single mother at 39, but honestly, I feel more peace with this baby that I chose to have on my own than I ever did trying to have one with Brett. There's something powerful about making this decision for myself instead of desperately trying to fix a marriage that was clearly broken long before I knew it. I still wake up angry sometimes about my sister's betrayal and my parents' favoritism. My therapist says that's normal, and it'll take time to work through all these feelings. But that moment at the dinner table when Kara realized her lie was exposed, that was the moment I finally reclaimed my power in this family, and that felt better than anything. The path forward is still complicated and uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it's my path. Not one dictated by trying to please my family or fix my marriage or compete with my sister. Just mine. Edit. So many people are asking about Brett's reaction to my pregnancy. He actually tried to suggest that I trapped him by getting pregnant with a donor without telling him. I reminded him that we were literally in divorce proceedings when I did the procedure and hadn't spoken in weeks. The mental gymnastics this man will do to make himself the victim. Edit 2. To answer everyone asking about Kara's ex, yes, he knows about the baby now. Apparently she reached out to him after Thanksgiving. I don't know the details and honestly don't care, but my mom let slip that he's stepping up, whatever that means. Edit 3. A lot of you have pointed out that I shouldn't have shared Brett's medical records publicly. Look, I know it wasn't my finest moment, but after months of being lied to and manipulated by both of them, I just couldn't stand any more lies. And honestly, when someone sleeps with your sister in your bed, they kind of forfeit the right to privacy considerations. Just saying. Edit 4. For those asking about the house, we sold it. The divorce is final and we split the proceeds. I'm renting a cute little 2-bedroom apartment now that has a perfect space for a nursery. It's closer to my office too, which will be helpful once the baby comes. Edit 5. Thank you all for the support and advice on my previous posts. I read literally every comment even though I couldn't respond to them all. Having strangers validate that I wasn't crazy for feeling betrayed honestly helped me find the courage to stand up for myself at Thanksgiving. So, thank you. Seriously.